Live from the 607 is the ODPH Entertainment Edition, where we're talking movies, comics, TV, and more. Why don't you join in the conversation? Hashtag ODPH, because here we go. And welcome to another edition of the ODPH Entertainment Edition. I am your host, Ken M. Sitting across from me this week, as always, is the intern himself, Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Folks, we have a great show lined up for you. Brad Guy Signal could not make it in, but he is hitting the blogs pretty hard. We already have some rough copies coming in this weekend, so make sure to hit up OchoDuroParlayHour.com and check out the comics blog, because he is chiming in with a lot of good stuff. But first and foremost, we got to get to that news of the week. Biggest story by far is not Deadpool 2, which we will be talking about at the end of the show.
It was going to be, but then something else happened.
Something else happened that if you've been listening to the show or you follow us on social media, we have been talking and anxiously waiting to hear official word about, and that is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'll say if you were sitting next to me at any point this weekend, literally, my foot would have been tapping in anticipation and nervousness.
Because there has been a lot of speculated drama. Now, I'm sure we're going to be referencing a lot of various stories we have read off the internet.
And things we've read, not just stories.
Not so stories, too, but we're going to have a lot of information. We're just kind of piecing it all together about what the drama was all about and what the fallout is going to be. Now, the good news is Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been renewed.
Yep.
I guess I am taking it as bad news, ? It's a short season. It's going to be a mid-season replacement for ABC next year, TV season. And it's only 13 episodes, and it will be the final season, from what I've read.
Yeah, they haven't said it, at least to my knowledge, and please, if we're wrong, correct us, hashtag ODPHEE. But everywhere else I've read, it's the final season. You know, this will be it. And it's sad to see it go. It sucks. It's 13 episodes. It is a reduced episode order. But I look at it as, okay, yeah, they wrote the season that's currently airing, you know, the finale that's airing this Friday to be the finale if they weren't to get renewed. But I'm kind of happy they're getting this because they get the true whatever, you know, send off, you know, send it into a spinoff, whatever it ends up being. I'm happy they get it.
I agree, too. Now, I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. since the first episode.
Down since that day one.
Absolutely. And I will admit, Season 1 was rocky at best.
It had its moments, but yeah, it was rocky.
It was rocky. The characters were very cookie cutter. And by that, I mean, you really didn't have definitive personalities for them, with the exception of Melinda May.
Right, and Coulson, because, well, you know who he is.
And Coulson. But I think what they tried playing off too much of was, hey, you remember I was in the Avengers. Hey, the Avengers. Hey, the Avengers.
Yeah, hey, we're part of S.H.I.E.L.D.
We get it. You don't need to tell us every episode. I want to see the character development. That didn't really start taking place until the Captain America 2 episode tie-in later in the season.
There was stuff early on, but it was few and far between.
I dare say forgettable.
Yeah, I mean, the one that comes to mind for me is I think the episode was called Bzzzt or something like that, and it was like there was like an electric charge that going through that. Like I remember, I'm blanking on her name.
Simmons?
Yeah, thank you. That Simmons had that, like, she threw herself off of a plane and, like, Fitz lost his mind that she did it. They like, oh, you know, the cure works, and why'd you throw yourself? Like, it was, you know, that's the one that comes to mind for me is, like, building, okay, they care about each other, even if they won't admit it to each other.
Yeah, I mean, how they've spawned and grew in their roles, I mean, it's night and day difference if you watch now.
Mm-hmm.
And every season of S.H.I.E.L.D. has gotten better.
Yes.
By far, with Season 4 being the best. Season 5 has been great.
Oh, yeah.
But for my money, Season 4 is the benchmark.
Yeah, Season 4 is one of those that there was just high mark after high mark after high mark that you know, you're kind of thinking, all right, at some point they're going to maybe take a step down just because, you know, the stakes aren't as high. No, it just keeps raising the bar.
Yeah, I mean, Season 2 was a step in the right direction. Season 3, whenever you tie in the word Inhumans to a show, I'm not saying it's going to stunt the growth, but there's a whole different ball of wax that's involved with it.
Well, given what the plans were at the time, and that was to eventually, it makes sense if you go back in time and remember what was going on at the time and Marvel's plans at the time, it made sense.
Yeah, because eventually it was supposed to lead into an Inhumans movie.
It was supposed to be an Inhumans movie.
Or tie into it or something.
Yeah, it was supposed to get people ready for it. Now, ultimately, it didn't pan out for whatever reason, but that's neither here nor there.
No, but at least S.H.I.E.L.D. starts taking steps in the right direction because Season 3 is heavily influenced by the Secret Warriors storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And Season 4, they finally moved out of the 9 o'clock spot to the 10 o'clock spot.
Oh, yeah.
And on Tuesday nights, and that really helped. In my opinion, it gave them a lot of creative freedom. Whoever thought a new version of Ghost Rider, not Johnny Blaze or Dan Ketch, would have worked, but the Robbie Reyes version is phenomenal.
Oh, I was shocked by it because the only Ghost Rider version I've ever seen is the one riding the bike.
Yeah.
With the flaming chain. I was completely shocked to see the guy driving a car. I was like, oh, cool.
And that's only in recent years that's happened. And now that character has taken off to the success that he had on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is now spawned into the Avengers comic reboot that just happened with Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness drawing. So it shows that the fans were reacting to the show well. I know the ratings question has always been a question at best because obviously you're coming off the Avengers. I think the expectations might have been a little too high. But they have grown every year from the most part I'm getting is by recordings, by DVR.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how it was for me for a number of years. I'd be busy when it was airing. I'd watch it either that night, given what the social media reaction would be. If there was a big reaction, I'd be like, all right, I got to watch this now. And if it wasn't, I'd watch it the next day. Right.
But the move to Friday nights has been kind of some would say a death knell. Some would say it was going to be problems. But S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, has hung on its own. From what I've read, the ratings have been pretty steady, especially on the DVR aspect.
Well, it's like, because I think of what's on Friday right now, in terms of what their competition is for the market demographic they're going for, there's not much.
Yeah. So, obviously, they have had a new time slot, and this season has been a little slow to start.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they've been in space in the future, and anytime you deal with
like
time travel, you always have to tell a longer story to just kind of retrace the footsteps. But now they've been back in the current MCU timeline. They're now summing up the whole season of Is Quake the Destroyer of Worlds and everything involving that, which they've done a nice twist in the comic with General Talbot being Graviton.
Oh yeah,
instead of the actual one that's in the books, which that was very slick. Dare I say, of the MCU to do. So how it all is going to play out, I don't know. But instead of this being the series finale, we're going to get one more.
That'll be the interesting thing for me because that's the thing. They wrote this because up until this past Sunday, they didn't know what was going to happen for next season, whether they were going to be canned or get another season. So they wrote and directed and edited this episode as the series finale. So that'll be the interesting thing for me going forward is, okay, how does this episode end? And then where do they go from that?
Well, that's going to be the biggest fallout from this, I feel, because now the only Marvel show that's going to be on TV this year is going to be Cloak and Dagger on Freeform, if I'm not mistaken. We're not counting Hulu or Netflix. We're talking network television.
Strictly network television. Yeah, you're right.
Because next year is when S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to come back.
Right, and I kind of chalk that up to, I know you and I had some discussions, I kind of chalk that up to more, they didn't know what they were doing until all of 4 days ago. So like you said, maybe they had some ideas kicking around in their head. They haven't done anything because I look at Walking Dead, for example. Walking Dead is going to start back up in October like it does every year. Mm-hmm. They started filming 3 weeks to a month ago. They've already got their scripts done. They're working on scripts. They're doing this. They're already filming. They're deep into filming.
Well, the one thing you got to take at least some faith in is Marvel is very calculated in every move they do. They usually bat 1,000, and I note usually because Inhumans.
Yep.
And Inhumans, and we'll just
say to quote Jimmy Kimmel, we're the only network to put something on with Marvel in the title and fail.
Yeah, because Inhumans was, that's just a whole other show.
Yeah, we've discussed it before.
Yeah, we've discussed that before. But getting back to the point, Marvel now has gotten Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to come back for 13 episodes. Is it going to build into something? What is going to happen with the MCU on TV? So I'll pose this question to Pad. What do you think the future is now with S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I think you get this one more season, and I've been reading a couple of things online that this is the final season, and that this next season will then spin off into another series Whether it's new characters that get introduced or it's with new characters and some characters from S.H.I.E.L.D. has yet to be determined. But the thing I keep reading in a couple places is that it's going to spin off into a new series.
And I think I'm okay with that, too, if it's going to spin off, because S.H.I.E.L.D. has covered a lot of ground in recent years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to count seasons 1 and 2. Even though 2 was a step in the right direction, that was kind of like my season 1.
I'll say season 1 for going from, hey, we're going to get this team together to where it ended. That was a lot of distance.
Oh, it is. It is. But for where they are now and the creative growth that can only be described on the show, because every character has something going on. Mm-hmm. Every character has their unique role they play on the team. And this is the S.H.I.E.L.D. that I've been wanting since season 1.
Oh, yeah.
So now that I have it, it's going to be bittersweet to see it go. And I would love to see some of these characters spin off into another show. Now, what's going to happen? Who knows? Because there's always rumor that Disney is having its own Netflix-style streaming service starting up.
Oh, they are. That's 2019, I believe.
So that'll be next year. So will Marvel now go and move to that network? Will they stay on ABC? What does the future hold? I guess my prediction is I think that Marvel is going to spin off into the Disney streaming service.
I think so, yeah, because we already know that they want something Star Wars for the streaming service now, whether that's the new animated series that's been announced or the series Jon Favreau's working on that he has said is taking place after Return of the Jedi. Who's to say? But I definitely think that while it's been confirmed that the Netflix series are staying on Netflix even when this Disney streaming service launches, I think whatever S.H.I.E.L.D. will spin off into will end up on Disney's streaming service.
I think so too. I mean, I don't know what the project would be, because there's a lot of different directions they could go. I mean, could they just call it S.H.I.E.L.D. and have it center around certain characters, and you have newer?
So you could have a rotating cast from the last series.
Maybe. I mean, that's a possibility. I know Miss Marvel has now been mentioned in production for just somehow getting integrated into the MCU, which I think if they did a show based on her, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And you could obviously tie in elements of S.H.I.E.L.D. to that as well.
Oh, yeah.
The only one that I've heard that's been kind of rumored that I really question how it gets spun into is if New Warriors is that show that gets spun off in. Because I know that was supposed to be in development for Freeform, and it did not take off,
right, to
my knowledge. Or, I mean, this could be something completely different. It could just be something maybe centered around Phil Coulson.
The only thing I could say with the New Warriors Freeform thing is if you look at all of the Freeform programming as a whole, not just the upcoming Cloak and Dagger, but all their stuff and that's on TV now, it has a very specific tone. It caters to a very specific audience. Now they're taking a bit of a risk and a bit of a jump with this Cloak and Dagger series. Because to this point, all of their stuff has been, I'll say, more grounded in reality. Mm-hmm. Some of it a little unrealistic, but by and large, it takes place in the here and now. So this is definitely a risk for them. But I kind of look at, looking at New Warriors, I don't think it would have fit their tone and their audience.
I'm not sure. I mean, because I know the take they were going to do is the more recent version, which led into Civil War, which was the reality TV show. It wasn't the original one from the 90s, which I thought if they spun that into a modern version, I think that would have worked. At least I'm more excited when I hear the New Warriors are coming to TV.
Yeah.
I would have been like, okay, if you had the original team of what would have been Richard Rider as Nova, but they called him Kid Nova at the time, Namorita, Night Thrasher, Speedball, Marvel Boy, who turned into Justice, and Firestar. If you had that original lineup, okay, that would have worked better. But the reality TV show thing, I don't get it. Like, for me, that doesn't make me want to watch because I think it's going to be too comical.
Well, I was going to say the reality TV in a series style, not, like an actual reality show, has been done before. I mean, you look at The Office, you look at Parks and Rec. It's been done before, but by and large in comedies. Yeah,
and I just think back to this was the catalyst for Civil War, with the original one, not the Captain America movie, the comic book story. So for me, I'm kind of going, I don't know. I mean, I'm still going to watch, obviously, but I'm not as excited as it would have been like the original lineup, or if they decided to do the more modern take, which is the Champions series that just came out that had the younger teen heroes, Miss Marvel, Spider-Man Miles Morales, the totally awesome Hulk, Amadeus Cho.
Yeah.
One of the Visions.
Sure.
I can't remember which one off the top of my head. The younger version of Cyclops, which was time jumped.
Yeah.
If you read the book is very good. If they did that and called that New Warriors, okay, I'd be down for that. I think that could work. I don't know if they would ever do it on the small screen, though.
No, I don't think so, because there's a lot of people who want Miles Morales on the big screen.
Absolutely. The panel included. So I guess moving forward and to close the segment out, S.H.I.E.L.D. is back, and whatever piece we can get of them, great, because I think they've earned it. I think the creative growth the past couple seasons has warranted them to go out on their own terms.
Mm-hmm.
Where this leads is going to be the $1 million question, because if they stay on ABC, would ABC do another superhero-based show? Hard to say. I could definitely see this going to Disney's streaming service in some aspect. Whether it be a Miss Marvel show, whether it be a New Warriors, which I would like to see how they spin it out to it, but I could definitely see that going there as well.
Right.
Or would it be another property of Marvel entirely?
I think if I had to guess anything that would be on ABC in the future, it would be a name that people would recognize, that you could market and advertise as, the newest series from Marvel, from the people who brought you Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It comes, insert superhero in here. That, because you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you and I knew who they were, and people we know knew who they were, and we've heard of the team, but there was people at large and people I knew, they're like, wait, who are the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the real telling tale if ABC decides to do it again. I hope they do, because they've had success. I mean, the only shows that really haven't done well, Inhumans was the first one. Agent Carter is debatable.
Agent Carter had its moments, but it was hit or miss.
Yeah, but that's anytime you're trying to tell a storied piece in that time, it's always when you're trying to tell a period piece, it's always
a period piece where there's no real connection or chance to connect anything to to what was going on in the MCU at the time.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of that show.
I liked it, yeah.
I hope it came to Netflix, but it never did. Maybe it'll come back to Disney on the streaming service.
Never know.
That could be something. But let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPHEE. We want to know what's your thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel moving forward. Hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Coming back for segment number 2 on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition, and we got to talk about some DC TV on the CW.
Yeah, we're not talking the season finales that are coming on. We'll talk about those, at some point. But a little more interesting news coming out today. Of course, the networks are having what are known as the upfronts, which is basically they take their returning shows and their new shows and show them off to marketers in an attempt to convince them to, hey, I've got this new show on ABC. Here's what it's about. Here's a trailer with, some scenes from the pilot. I want you to buy it, time space to show your ad on my show. It's also a good look for the fans to, get an idea for what's coming this fall and, some new stuff you might want to get into. Of course, that comes with, announcing lineups and such. And DC/CW decided to announce some changes to their lineup this coming fall. Of course, CW is moving to, what is it, like a Sunday to Thursday schedule?
Yeah, they're going to have, I think Sunday to Friday. They're just adding an extra day. So Sunday night is going to have CW programming.
Yeah, so Supergirl, currently on Mondays, is moving to Sunday.
Okay.
The Flash is staying on Tuesdays. Black Lightning is staying on Tuesdays. Arrow is moving to Monday night. And Legends of Tomorrow is moving to Monday night.
Interesting.
Now, if I had to take a guess, Arrow will probably take the slot Supergirl's in now, if I had to guess.
They would stay at 8.
They'd stay at 8, and then Legends of Tomorrow would follow at 9. Flash and Black Lightning would keep their respective time slots
8
now.
And 9.
8 and 9. And then if I had to take a guess, and this is just a guess, Supergirl would probably be on at 8 o'clock on Sunday, because 9 o'clock is a certain show on AMC that, despite what you say about the show, is still a ratings juggernaut.
Yeah, I think the DC universe on the CW would probably want to avoid The Walking Dead when they come back.
I'll say anybody else who goes against The Walking Dead tends to lose the ratings battle.
It's at current time, yes. I mean, we'll see what happens in the fall. But I think reading into the schedule, I think the DC and on the CW is doing the smart moves. Because you're pairing 2 of your shows back to back, so it's almost like you're having DC night on TV.
Oh, yeah. Might even book it that way.
You could definitely book it, especially if you're going to do crossover episodes, which we'll touch upon in just a little bit. But with Supergirl moving to Sunday, I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
I know that Arrow getting moved to Mondays, that is interesting because especially this is supposed to be Gotham's last season on Fox.
Yep.
Now, Gotham airs Monday nights, correct?
Yep, last I knew.
Last I knew, too. So it's kind of interesting that DC would go up against DC. Now, it's not to say that Fox wouldn't switch anything out, or CW might switch as well, too. But I just think it's kind of interesting. But then again, they did this season as well.
Sure.
With Supergirl on there. So really not too shocking, but Arrow being the franchise of the CW.
Yeah.
Or at least with Flash. I don't know. You can kind of go back and forth of who's the main hero now.
Supergirl moving to Sunday nights kind of makes sense to me because of the 5 shows I listed, it is the more laid back one. Sundays, you typically, your family's coming home from doing stuff over the weekend. They're kind of relaxing and hanging out for Sunday night just before, that deep plunge into Monday morning. It is kind of, to me at least, the more relaxed of the 5. So it kind of makes sense to move it on a Sunday night.
It's an interesting move, but I think it works better in their favor too because I think that they can stand on their own. Do you know what show is coming on in back of them or no?
No, nothing. This is just this is just information off of their Facebook pages because they uploaded images, with like a poster looking thing with Arrow moving to air on Mondays this fall.
It's what they typically do when they do their season premieres and they do. Yeah. Okay, so it's just a picture of that.
Yeah.
So Supergirl on Sunday. And then you have back-to-back DC nights with Arrow and Legends on Monday, and then Flash and Black Lightning on Tuesday, which, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You're too I would say Black Lightning is the best show from the 5 right now. Legends is number 2.
It's a close number 2.
It's a close number 2. It's close, but for my money, it's Black Lightning all the way. And then you factor in... You have the Flash, which it has improved this season.
Yeah.
I know next week we go into the season finale, and I believe when we are taping next week will be right around when the season finale is. So we'll have to have a recap of that or breakdown of that. But Flash has taken a step in the right direction. Black Lightning has been stellar, and I can't wait to see season 2. So keeping that on Tuesday night is very strong for them. On Monday night, I mean, moving Arrow there, and Arrow has been kind of a journeyman show now because it used to be the Wednesday night locked 8 o'clock.
Yep.
And then it went to 9 o'clock on Thursdays, which it's still having success. And I think it's now coming back to where they should have been at the beginning of the season because I know tonight as we tape is the season finale, which I think is going to have a lot of ramifications. And I think that where we are all complaining about characters surviving the cliffhanger, they will not be surviving this week.
No.
That would be my early prediction with Ricardo Diaz versus Oliver Queen for the final stand of Star City. I can't wait to see it, and I think that Arrow finally is hitting their stride because they're getting back to basics, which is just Oliver and a very small team fighting one villain.
Outside help when he needs it.
Yeah, and I think that plays to his strengths. I mean, Stephen Amell has played Oliver Queen very, very brilliantly.
Oh, yeah.
Because especially when the show was first announced, I was a little hesitant when Arrow was coming because Green Arrow is a very tricky character to write.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he can be written very well or he can be written very badly. I mean, the current run with Ben Piercy that just ended was very well. I think that's probably the truest form of Green Arrow that I've seen in a while. So this take, though, has been more of the Dark Knight Batman style.
Sure.
But Amell has made it into his own character, I think. I think it's not as brooding and dark as Season 1 started, and I think it's kind of, tiptoeing around that line.
Would you compare it to how Robert Downey Jr. took over Iron Man? A character that was kind of confusing, a little bit, why are we going this route? And then as you watched and as it progressed, okay, I'm sold on this.
I would say yes, because once it got into Season 2, you kind of started getting more of the layers of Oliver Queen. It wasn't just so, you failed the city and brooding. It really kind of showed some growth. Now, obviously, Season 3 and Season 4 have been suspect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Season 5 came back so strong that this season, I think it was going to be a letdown no matter what. But they started out strong, and then they kind of faded out because when you have so many characters involved in your story.
I'm saying you're doing like 4 different plot lines.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem they have on The Walking Dead right now, too.
Yeah.
Is when you have so many people, it's hard to get invested in each character. But once they stripped it down to just the bare basics, Ricardo Diaz, who's been played brilliantly.
Oh, phenomenally.
And you have Oliver Queen and just the battle, for Star City, just between those two, and then just the smaller role players are involved, but they're not the focus. So
and Ricardo Diaz has been one of those characters. I know I've mentioned it before that he walks into a room and I go, oh bleep, what's he going to do this time?
Yeah, because they are following the comic, the reboot that Piercy did, I believe. That it was this character that you knew when he showed up. Stuff was happening, and this is a mover and shaker.
Because he was on that, it was the episode like 2-3 weeks ago where he was on the roof with what was his childhood tormentor.
Oh, I thought it was brilliant.
He's got the guy at gunpoint. He's like, oh, you remember me? He's giving the whole spiel, and I'm thinking that, Earth whatever Laurel's going to talk him out of it. I'm like, all right, she's going to talk him out of it. He's going to walk away. He's just going to, as he got scarred, he's going to leave him a scar to remind him. And then he goes and sets him on fire.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, it just shows what this character is willing to do,
and that's just damn near anything.
Yeah, but I think it just shows that this is somebody that is just committed to their goals, a lot like Oliver in a sense. But
he's willing to take the steps Oliver won't.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's saying a lot over the five seasons of Arrow. But getting back to the major point, tonight's season finale is definitely going to play a lot into the direction of the CW shows moving forward, with the exception of Black Lightning, because that's in its own universe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's from what I've read. It's because the thing I've noticed is if you watch the Arrowverse shows, that being Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, if there's ever a news clip or news channel playing, it's always Channel 52 and Easter egg reference to New 52. Mm-hmm. But and anytime there's been a news station talking about something going on in Black Lightning's universe, it's been like Channel 6 or something like that. It hasn't been Channel 52.
I haven't actually been paying attention. That's a good pick.
I caught it just one time. I was like, oh, I wonder. Oh, no, it's not.
No, but going forward with that, Arrow's got some high expectations tonight. I sense that it's you're going to see some major shakeups moving forward out of this season. If
I had to guess, there's going to be a written deposition.
There'll be something.
Because what is it? The DA or the investigator was like, oh, I'm going to need 2 things from you. One was to admit he's the Green Arrow, and then it cut to credits, and I told a buddy of mine, I go, yeah, the other thing she's going to need is a written deposition.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but he's going to get something, and next season we'll have to see who survives the fallout of this one. But I'm excited to see it, though, and it's good to see all 5 shows are coming back, too, because I know that anytime that they have a running universe like this, it's always tough to juggle all those shows, but I'm glad it's coming back. I'm glad iZombie's coming back, too. I'm going to say that. I know we don't talk about that enough on this show, but by far, that has a loose tie to the DC comics because it was a Vertigo series.
Right.
But if you want to watch a real good zombie show, I recommend that.
And, of course, this wasn't even the only big news of the day. Of course,
Break it down.
CW was having its up front where they were talking about their upcoming shows, and out walks Stephen Amell, who came and started talking about some stuff and then brought up the crossover that will be coming with next season. Of course, every season, up after a point had a crossover. At first, it was just Arrow and Flash, and of course, this past season was the phenomenal Crisis on Earth X.
Yeah.
Well, the announcement and bombshell that got dropped that made me raise my eyebrows to read it was that the crossover this coming season would bring in none other than Batwoman.
Now, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Because typically the Bat family has not really been brought into the Arrowverse.
They've been referenced.
They've been referenced.
I believe there have been cities.
Bloodhaven's been mentioned.
Bloodhaven's been mentioned.
Gotham was mentioned at one point, I believe.
Outright seeing them, no.
No, you haven't seen them. And Batwoman has played a very prominent role in Detective Comics right now.
Yep.
With, I want to say, Batman was kind of having his own team of the Bat family, but it was kind of, I would say it was probably more S.H.I.E.L.D.-like than anything.
I would have to agree. Yeah, it's his own team, but he was in charge of it as much as Nick Fury was in charge of Coulson's team.
Yeah, it's very interesting and see how Batwoman plays into that. I know that she just got her own series on the DC comic line. So to see her get introduced to the DC TVU, That is very interesting because now, where do you go for that crossover?
Right. Well, and the other thing that was the first thing I thought of was, okay, well, if you're bringing in Batwoman, there can't be a Batwoman without a Batman, because to me, she can't get started on this life of being Batwoman if Batman's not there.
They might be able to swing it. It's just going to be heavily alluded to.
Right.
But then again, in this past season of Arrow, they flat out said Bruce Wayne and Batman. I mean,
I wonder if this didn't, because there was a story that Amel was at a party. I forget the exact details, but Amel was at a party and pitched the idea and got it in based off of. I wonder if this isn't the fallout or end game of that supposed pitch, is that he pitched this idea, got the reference in, but then they were kicking around the idea of, hey, why don't we bring somebody in from that family?
Well, it'd be a smart move, I think, because I mean the closest they've gotten to is the Huntress,
right,
from seasons 1 and 2, I believe. So they really haven't dabbled that much in the Bat family, and I think that you can definitely go somewhere with Batwoman.
Sure,
there's a lot of stories you can definitely go and tell, but where this ties in, that's going to be the question, because when they do the crossovers between all 4 shows, it's always a big event.
Mm-hmm.
So what big event would tie in that you're either are they going to go parallel universes again? Is they going to keep it just with their universe? I mean, obviously with Supergirl, you got to, somebody's got to come over to one planet or the other.
Would they do Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I've been saying they should do that for many years.
Like I know I've read rumors and speculation that they've been doing it, as a way to bring Supergirl into their universe and not have to do crazy mumbo jumbo just to bring her in every time they do a crossover.
Well, they have enough parts that they could set it up. I mean, this season had the Legion of Superheroes on Supergirl.
Uh-huh.
So it's not out of the realm of thought. But anytime you try doing time travel and that many shows, I get a little hesitant.
Sure.
But maybe. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, the door is wide open. But just the fact they're already naming characters involved, hard to say.
I'll say the fact that they're not just announcing or giving hints at the crossover, but they're outright naming somebody who's going to debut or factor into this crossover. They must have something big planned.
And we can't wait to watch. But it's great to see CW is back with the DC Comics line. We can't wait to watch. Let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPHEE. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shake radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Ciatoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves, you see. It's a heartbreak, soul-shake radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward and no steps back. We knew right where we'd be.
Back again for another segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition. And last week we devoted a lot of time talking anime and Batman Ninja. Shout out to Mike Pathy from Rybread and Matt Ocean. They will both be back on the podcast very, very soon. But Pat, what was your thoughts on the movie? We watched it after the show.
I enjoyed it. The proverbial number one animated movie all time in my books is still Mask of the Phantasm. It's going to be real hard to top that one, but this was good. I enjoyed it. It started off great. It answered some questions for me, mainly, every villain and the hero showing up. Is this going to be them from the current timeline or them from, the past? I enjoyed it, though.
It was a very good, and as you know, when you listen to the show, we do talk spoilers unless we warn you otherwise, so you've been told. Batman Ninja was everything I thought it was going to be, and it was everything I didn't think it was going to be.
And didn't expect it to be.
And let me break this down. I originally thought when they were going to do this that they were just going to do kind of like what Marvel did with their anime-style movies.
Yep.
But I thought it was going to be a little more detailed, a little more focused. This was about as true of an anime as I've seen, and they were given free reign to go every direction they wanted to with Batman, the creators of the film.
And they went every direction
and
they
they
could have.
did. And that's what I loved about it, because I didn't think they were going to get as much creative reign, but they did.
Yeah.
It was as genuine of an anime as you will ever watch. The story just centers around Batman getting caught in a time travel machine from Arkham and
With Grodd, it's Batman and Catwoman trying to stop Grodd from activating this device.
Yeah, and then they just get taken to medieval Japan, and it's all kind of time jumped. Other characters are involved, and it just really kind of spirals into this massive epic that just gets down to the bare bones Batman versus the Joker.
I'm saying right from the outset, you get Batman taken out of his element because he has these soldiers or whatever charging at him ready to attack. And what does he instantly do? Well, what his muscle memory is trained to do. He takes his grappling hook out, sticks it to the sky, and then realizes there's nothing to grapple onto.
Yeah, and I think that was just a telling sign that it was just a little nod that you definitely know you're not in Gotham anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Different landscape, different timeline, different everything. And it was very cool to see the other heroes get involved, and characters, should I say, because that was the only part I didn't really like, is it was too short a time with characters like Deathstroke,
Yeah.
Two-Face,
I was like,
Penguin,
some of them
Poison
that felt
Ivy.
almost forced.
Yeah, it just kind of really was like, okay, they're here and then they're gone.
Right. It almost felt like they had a checklist of, okay, well, we checked off Harley Quinn. Let's see, we checked off Joker. You checked off Catwoman. Oh, wait, we still got to work in Deathstroke.
Yeah, and but it just felt like, okay, they were in, but then they were gone. There was
Yeah.
just kind of like a hiccup they were in.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing I didn't like, because I'm a huge Deathstroke fan, so I was like, hey, keep him on the screen, let him do his own thing.
Let's say Deathstroke in that era is, whoa, boy.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, he came in with a great setup, and then it just kind of was like, well, we're just kind of go to the wayside.
Bum, 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 bum.
But I understand why, though, because they wanted to keep the story as simple as possible, yet make it as epic as possible, if that makes sense. They wanted to just keep it Batman versus Joker. And it worked. It was as vibrant and visually appealing as you would watch with any anime. They didn't tone anything down. They fully went every direction they could with it. It definitely was a great film in my book if you're a fan of anime. And as you can tell by last week's episode, which you can still download, by the way, we are huge anime fans. Now, to some degree, not as much as I would say like Mike or Matt, because those guys are the unaired cut of the ODPH last week.
Yeah.
Which trust me,
we finished recording, and I think they went for like another 20 minutes after we finished recording.
Absolutely, because they're just that big of fans. We are fans too, but not to their degree. But I was very impressed by what I saw. And this just reminded me of just like how great the genre is of anime.
Yeah.
And just the fact that DC allowed one of their franchise characters to get involved, and they gave creative control to the creators. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just, I mean, like I said, I nitpick because the supporting characters you only saw like in a quick heartbeat. Like the Red Hood, obviously he made a very good impact on the show.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just kind of like very few and far between. Same thing with Damian. I'm assuming it was Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
And then Nightwing was in it for a hiccup, and then he was gone. I mean, that was the only thing. It's just when you have so many characters. But I think watching it again, because I've seen it now 3 times, you get the sense that the creators were just so happy they got to use anybody they wanted. The Grodd introduction was kind of interesting and cool.
That made the most sense though, looking back at it.
Yeah,
because when we saw the trailer, we're like, wait, Gorilla Grodd, why is he? Okay, if you have somebody set off a time machine, who's the logical person that would have said device and be trying to set it off? Do you really believe Joker would have it? No. Two-Face? No. Grodd, the super smart, intelligent ape that can speak? Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it made sense. And everything made sense. But it was just like, you could definitely tell it was from fans. It wasn't just, people that were given a job to do.
Right.
Fans made this, and it definitely resonated with that. And it was just like, it was very cool to see the take on it. I recommend it. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd say go out and take a look if you're a huge fan of animes, and Batman too, because at its essence, it's a Batman story. You don't see too much detective work per se, but it is a Batman versus Joker story that if you want to see it through different lenses and different eyes, it's definitely worth watching.
Oh, yeah.
So go check that out. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hashtag ODPHEE.
Hi, this is Mike C. from I Am Horror. You're listening to the ODPH, the most killer podcast on the planet.
Coming back for the featured segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition, and tonight, as we were recording, Deadpool 2 finally hits theaters.
The Merc with a mouth.
Yes, after the smashing success of the first film, which I think really took me by surprise. Like, I thought it was going to do well, but I didn't think it would become the juggernaut that it is.
Yeah, no, I expected it to do well just because the trailers were done well. It was marketed well. So I knew that there was an audience for this movie, yourself and myself included, and, you know, some friends of ours. But I didn't, when I started reading articles from Variety and Hollywood Reporter of how much it made opening night and how much it made opening weekend, my jaw slightly slacked because I was like, wait, there's this big an audience for it?
Yeah, I mean, Deadpool has grown in popularity, and dare I say, he has really spun into his own entity from where he started in the comics in, what was it, New Mutants 98, I believe, that he was basically a Deathstroke ripoff with Spider-Man's personality. And now he has evolved into an immortal, fourth wall breaking, killing machine.
I'll say that's what a lot of people know him for, even if they're not comic fans, is you know the face and you know that he breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, and he goes completely left of center of every single story that is in the books.
I'll say he's one of those, like, if you ever do the alignment charts from like Dungeons and Dragons for like whatever series you want, good luck putting one for Deadpool because he's all of them at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he's just evolved into this. I mean, I don't want to say he's the face you associate with Marvel, but I gotta say he's close.
Yeah, he's in the discussion.
He's definitely in the discussion, which is just so weird for me to see, because I remember when I was reading New Mutants at the time, and then when I switched to X-Force, he was involved and definitely had some popularity, but it wasn't to the level that it is now, because now it's skyrocketed. And I mean, you gotta thank Ryan Reynolds for doing it, because obviously when the movie footage from the first Deadpool was released, it had so much of an internet buzz that it spawned into the movie, and then the movie exploded.
Well, in the story of the footage was something of legend. I remember the night it dropped that, I was laying in bed, couldn't fall asleep one night, and I just see this article about, hey, remember that Deadpool test footage you've heard about for 10 years? Well, here it is. And I was like, and the guy who posted it, I replied, I'm like, wait, really? He's like, oh, yeah, here's an article with what the director said. What's in this clip is verbatim what the director said like 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of wild, the story behind it, because, I mean, it almost never came to be. And now it's grown into the epic film that's going to be.
And I would give some credit to the video game that came out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and was re-released on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where it was voiced by Nolan North, that, while not widely successful, among comic fans, they love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably truest to the form that there is.
It breaks the fourth wall about every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see probably the truest version of Deadpool on the video game screen, there it is.
Yep.
So now going into the sequel, obviously fans were left hanging from the post-credit scene from the first one when they decided to name drop, oh yeah, Cable's going to be in the next one.
So they could have done like a Marvel Avengers 1 style
shawarma.
Well, no, I was thinking more like Cable could be sitting in a room someplace and he just goes, well, time to take care of this, or something to that effect. But they didn't. They just did. If memory serves, they recreated the scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he's like, oh, hey, why are you still here? Movie's over. And they go, oh, by the way, Cable's going to be in the next movie.
Yeah, which that was a huge, huge bombshell to drop.
Yeah. Because
at the time, it's pretty much the X universe has not really delved into the land of Cable and X-Force and all that comes with that.
So they've gotten close.
But they never fully went board with it. So obviously casting Josh Brolin in that role was the first sign, like, this is really happening, and he looks the part.
I'll say, how about the summer Josh Brolin's having? 2 of the biggest movies of the summer.
Yeah, he's winning. He's winning every comic competition right now.
Oh, yeah.
Without question. I mean, he's going to be that of legend after this year. If he decides to come to cons, it's going to be out of control.
Without a doubt.
But going into this, it was kind of interesting to see where they were going to go with the story, because when you have Cable and Deadpool, they've been adversaries more times than they've been allies. And trying to figure out from the trailer, my best assumption is they're going to try doing something involving the Messiah Complex story, which in the comics involved Hope Summers. Now, I know that we have not seen anybody that looks like her in the trailer, but it's basically Cable is trying to protect her to save mutant kind from extinction, and Bishop, I believe, is trying to hunt her down in the comics.
I'll say, like you say, we haven't seen anything in the trailers, but the opposite side of that coin is we've seen like the same 5 scenes in the trailers, which not necessarily a bad thing. They're not showing all the movie.
No, they're not showing all the movie, so it's making me guess what direction they're going to go in, because now it kind of looks like the roles are reversed, and Cable is trying to hunt down he looks like a prisoner of some like government facility that Deadpool happens to be at too, and for whatever reason, Cable's trying to eliminate this kid. Or teenager, I shouldn't say kid. And Deadpool is trying to protect him. Now, for what reasons, we don't know yet. So
this strikes me as there's the one scene in the trailers where Deadpool walks into the apartment where he and Vanessa are living, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I'm late. I was busy out collecting all the gluten in the world and sending it into space so it couldn't harm us anymore." Clearly he's still taking jobs. He's still a mercenary. He's still doing, what he does. It would not strike me if he goes on a mission that what he's told the mission is and what he's told the objective is not nearly what it actually involves.
No. So, there's a lot of different directions it can go in. But the biggest takeaway from all the trailers we have seen is that this is going to be the introduction of X-Force. Now, if you know the comics, this is where Cable's team transitioned from the Xavier School of Higher Learning into a military-style hit squad for eliminating threats to mutant kind. So looking at the lineup they currently have for this, which is Deadpool recruited, they have Domino in it, and Domino has been a staple of X-Force for many years in its various incarnations. They have Shatterstar, who has been a long-standing member of X-Force until, I would say, recent years. He's transitioned to X-Factor when they were doing the Madrox investigation group. And then there's a couple other characters we don't know just yet. Now, one looks like it's going to be Garrison Kane from the X-Force six-pack storylines. Terry Crews is playing Bedlam. We do know that for a fact. And he has been involved in the X-Universe for different, in the more recent years, I would say, since the 2000s. And then there is a guy just known as Peter. We don't know who Peter is. He's just somebody that read an ad on LinkedIn and decided to join the squad.
I want to know when he's getting his movie. Iron Man's got 3. Cap's got 3. Why can't he have his own?
Well, I'm speculating that he is not all that we think he is.
Probably not. If you're going to spend this much time and even, that's the type of thing that if it were just a gag, I don't think if it were me cutting the trailer, I wouldn't show it in the trailer. I'd save it for the movie, because that to me is... I would assume that that's a tension building scene, that they're planning for some big job, that it's something that clearly Deadpool can't handle by himself, that he's having to recruit people, because obviously your knowledge of Deadpool is far more extensive than mine. To me, he strikes me more as a lone wolf, that he will operate by himself. He'll work with somebody if he has to, but by and large he would prefer to work alone.
In more recent years, he's been his popularity has forced him to be more involved in the MCU.
Right.
Where he's now, at one point, he was an Avenger on one of the teams, which is...
That seems like a begrudging nomination.
Yeah, but it's at the time it was like when there was 5 teams of X-Men.
Oh, okay.
So he wasn't on the main roster.
Sure.
But he was on a version of it.
Sure.
He's been most tagged with X-Force over the recent years because that was led by Wolverine. Not Cable. So Deadpool has just a long history of comics, and I know they keep rewriting it. So trying to clarify where his direction is going to be going is interesting. But he's going to be protecting this other character. I'm not sure how old he is. I think he looks like a teenager.
He looks like a teenager, preteen, older than 10.
Yeah, because I think Vanessa in the trailer says he says he's just a kid.
Yeah.
But somehow this kid is going to be involved. That Cable is time traveling to. I don't exactly know if he's trying to eliminate him as a threat or what. There's just so many question marks that they left, which I love because I don't know what to expect with this film.
Right. Like we said, they keep showing the same 5 scenes, which to me is the good sign of a trailer in a movie. If you keep seeing the same scenes in 2-3 trailers, they're not showing you everything. They have a lot of faith in this movie. If you're going into a movie and you watch 3 trailers and they're all different scenes, it's not going to be good.
No, it's not. So this one we go into kind of with an open slate. Like I said, I'm guessing they're doing a Messiah Complex storyline. I could be completely wrong. But either way, I'm expecting this to at least be as good as the first film.
I'm hoping so too.
Yeah, I mean, if it hits that benchmark, I'll be happy with it because Deadpool is very tricky to write well. Now, there's been certain writers that have really crushed. I mean, Joe Kelly has done his part, and Jerry Dugan just recently has been phenomenal with it.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it's just you have to teeter on the line of seriousness and slapstick.
Right.
And it's very tough to do, but if you can do it and you do it well, it's going to be another knockout in the park.
Oh, yeah. And the thing I will say about the film, that I know people are curious whenever they go into a comic book movie, there are supposedly 4 post-credit scenes with this movie. So make sure you sit through the entire credits.
Yeah, get ready, because I have a feeling we'll see a very big surprise one. I have no knowledge, so I don't even want to speculate. But I'm expecting to see something you're going to go, what? As soon as you get done seeing it.
Uh-huh.
But let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPHEE. We're going to take a quick break, come back with the one-shots. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Mike Pappy from Rye Bread, and you're listening to the ODPH.
And coming back to close out this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition with those one-shots. Now, Pad has got 3 lined up. So,
Yep.
Pad, I'm just going to hand the mic to you. You roll with it, man.
So coming into this, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to talk about. And then 3 things hit that were of interest to me, and I figured I'd pass them along to you. First one is I got to play a bit of rumor killer. I'm going to put a squash on something. There was an article put out by TMZ about the supposed, not yet announced, Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff story. Now, the reason I say supposed is because it's been asked, and nobody said it's happening, but nobody's also said it's not happening. Both sides, it being Ewan McGregor and Lucasfilm, have been noticeably non-committal about it. There was an article that hit that said there was a supposed synopsis about, it will be, it's got a working title of Joshua Tree, and references how Return of the Jedi famously used the codename Blue Harvest. Synopsis, and I'm reading from the TMZ article. The synopsis reads as follows. Obi-Wan is on Tatooine being an elusive hermit, but secretly watches over infant Luke Skywalker, whom he delivered to his uncle Owen. Tensions between the local farmers and a tribe of sand people, headed by a ruthless war chief, eventually brings Obi-Wan out of hiding and into Jedi kick-ass mode. Scene. Now, on the surface, seems like a plausible scene, seems like a plausible plotline for a movie. One issue that is literally a verbatim summary from an Amazon description for a now Legends book titled Kenobi by one John Jackson Miller, where it takes place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and Obi-Wan's a hermit, kind of staying and doing his own thing, but Sand People attacks eventually bring him out. Quote, this is from the Amazon description. Tensions escalate between the farmers and a tribe of Sand People led by a ruthless war chief. So if you read this rumor online, the online Star Wars community at large, while they, and myself included, don't think that it's possible this is the story if they do a Kenobi movie, that it's going to be involving him on Tatooine and antics ensue. I don't see it being this because the thing TMZ is citing is literal ripoff of a description from a book.
So basically what you're saying is your gut opinion is the report that's coming out on TMZ is not accurate?
No. The movie, if they do one, because like I said, I haven't read anything quite saying, but all assumptions are that they're going to do one. Because if they weren't going to do one, they would have come out and said it by now.
Okay. So no, I'm just clarifying that I know that, okay, so they ran their article, but you were saying that in your opinion, it's not going down.
No, it'll happen, just not in that way.
Okay, fair enough.
Other interesting thing I read was there is a report out for what the Amazon Lord of the Rings TV series will be about.
Okay, break that down, because I know we talked about that in previous episodes.
Yep, so reports say that these series, which Amazon has said it will not touch the War of the Ring, it will not retouch the War of the Ring story, which of course is a story that takes place in the Lord of the Rings movies. No, that's already been done. We don't need to retell that. It's going to feature a young Aragorn.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so of course, if you've only read the books, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King, you haven't gotten any of the appendices or read anything online. You don't know all that much about him, and to be quite frank, I don't know quite that much about him. So to me, this is a very interesting potential because he really doesn't show up to Gondor until the events of Return of the King. So it's kind of he's out doing his own thing. I'm very curious to see where they go with this.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the trick because when you have such a well-known trilogy as Lord of the Rings, and I mean, how successful it was to the mainstream audience, that in fact, you're going to be trying to do a TV show based off it and do backstories, it's going to be a tricky thing to pull off. And they're not saying they can't do it, but just it's going to be tricky.
And they're banking up the Brinks truck for this one because when this goes into production, it will be the most expensive TV show ever made because the budget for this show will be $1 billion.
That's crazy.
Well,
I know when you said it the first time, I was like, it's still crazy.
Oh yeah, because if memory serves, and Google this because the numbers, I'm not sure if it's quite right. If memory serves, Amazon paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $375 million just for the rights to do this series. So they're putting a lot of money into this.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's the only way I can describe it. Is just trying to wrap my head around a TV show is going to be costing that much to make.
Yeah,
they better hope that it's a hit because man,
Well, New Zealand is licking its chops. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I mean they're going to have a lot of production down there, so you can't fault them for that. So shout out to our listeners down there too.
Oh
as well.
yeah, and of course the third one is one that got announced today. The massive video game franchise Call of Duty had its reveal for the upcoming latest entry, Black Ops 4.
Okay.
Now, of course, Black Ops and Call of Duty not as popular as it used to be. Fortnite is definitely risen in among some other games, but Call of Duty took a direct shot at Fortnite. Now,
oh boy.
So the game is of course being developed by Treyarch. It will be released on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on October 12th. The big thing with this is it was rumored for a while, but never officially confirmed until today. There will be no campaign, aka story mode, with this game. It'll be strictly multiplayer, zombies, and a third mode. Of course, zombies is the hugely successful, hugely popular mode that was first brought in by Treyarch in the World at War game, where it was World War II, Nazi zombies with World War II weapons, and you had to survive as long as you could. Simplistic, you could bring in with your friends and just go. It was like a party game almost. So, of course, they're bringing that back. There were 3 maps announced at launch. One is almost like a Roman Coliseum looking thing. Like if you go online and look at the trailer for it, the scene is like something out of a movie where it's you got the gladiators coming in, but then all of a sudden the zombies show up and they're having to survive. Then it's on the Titanic, which was interesting to me. And then another one simply called Blood of the Dead, which they hinted at, but they didn't really show much. The other one, and this is the shot they're taking at Fortnite, is it will have a Battle Royale mode.
Interesting.
Much like, so for those who don't know, Fortnite and PlayerUnknown Battleground, or PUBG as it's called online, is a hugely successful, popular game that has risen within the last year and a half, where essentially it's you and a number of people dropping into an area, an island, and you drop in with nothing. No armor, no weapons, just, tools and equipment, and you got to scrounge and find. It's almost like the Hunger Games, where like you go in with nothing and you've got to find stuff and survive. And the goal and the thing they do in both games to prevent people from sitting in one place and just winning by sitting in one place is they have a wall or a storm in Fortnite's case that I think it's like a minute and a half, and then it gets quicker as time goes on, shrinks in, and you've got to move in, because if you stay on the outside of that wall or storm that's moving in, you lose health and you die. So the thing they're doing with Black Ops is it will be in the Black Ops style. So it'll be, your tradition. If you're used to Call of Duty Black Ops gaming, it's going to be in that style. But it will feature characters from past Black Ops games, including the characters from the zombie games, which to this point, those characters have only ever been in the zombie games. They've never been anywhere else. It will feature weapons from both the multiplayer and zombies games. So, your ray guns, your thunder punches, it's going to be absurd. And then they also hinted at that some of your favorite Black Ops and Treyarch maps will be, on this quote-unquote island that you can go then run through. It's going to be, I think I read, like 1,500 times bigger than your traditional Call of Duty map.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's for those who don't know, Fortnite, PUBG, huge games. I mean, a streamer by the name of Ninja and Drake darn near broke the internet when everybody found out he was on it, and Ninja had like 600,000 plus people watching his stream at once.
It's kind of wild to think that esports, I mean, I would assume you can refer to it as esports.
Yeah.
Is blown up to the way it is. I know that they're going to be doing something with Kenny Omega and the rest of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yep.
If I was reading that correctly, later this year. So it's just kind of wild to see how popular that's taken off. And I know recently they just had Thanos.
Yep. Thanos had a run. It had a run in Fortnite where you start the match and you drop in, and the Infinity Gauntlet would drop in, and if you pick up the gauntlet, you turned into Thanos.
Yeah.
You could jump, you could shoot, a laser and all this. It's risen to the fact that, like, I know Grand Theft Auto Online from Rockstar had a Battle Royale mode out for a while. There's talk that the new Red Dead Redemption 2 will have one when it comes out in, later this year. They're basically any big AAA game that it has a multiplayer feature, there is talk that they will have a Battle Royale mode.
It's going to be something to watch, so if you're into the video games, check it out when it comes through.
Yep.
That's all we got for this week. So for Padawan J,
Thank you.
I'm your host, Kenem. Go check out Deadpool 2 in theaters this weekend and let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPHEE. We're going to thank you again for listening to another edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour Entertainment Edition. See you next time.